Hi, Ghosties. I'm Macy.
And I'm Natalie.
And today's our Mimi's birthday.
Woo! Happy birthday, Vicky!
Happy birthday, Mimi. For those of you who have been here for a while, then you know that our Mimi is our little angel-loving grandma.
Yes.
She is the reason that one of the reasons that we are like as into the paranormal as we are, because
100%.
we lived with her for a few years, and she just, I don't know, she talks about this a lot. She has a way of explaining things to us that just like makes sense for my brain.
And she's very much on the side of like, oh, that's a sign and like things like that
Yes,
all the time.
and she is extremely into anything angel. So like angel numbers.
Angel numbers specifically.
Angel visits. Just anything that has to do with the angelic realm.
Yeah.
That is her cup of tea.
100%.
So she also watches most of our episodes too. And she was just telling me the other day, like, I'm going to have nightmares from this episode. Y'all need to do more wholesome and nice episodes, good stories, maybe something with angels. So Mimi, if you're here, happy birthday.
Woo!
We're talking about angels today.
I think we did something for her birthday last year too, right?
It was the year before because it fell on her birthday again.
Yeah.
And that's when we talked about guardian angels and the third man factor, which is one of my favorite topics.
It was so good. I'm excited.
So yeah, here's another heartwarming episode for our Mimi. Happy birthday. Here are angels. Our tea today is Harney and Sons Holiday.
Yep. Fitting for the season. So let's go. That one is the one that tastes like Hobby Lobby.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
The smell hit me, and then when I actually tasted it, I was like, yes, this is a craft store.
It tastes good. It tastes like it's festive. It's very holiday, I'd say. A good one. All right. Our first story today is from Rachel. Hello, my name is Rachel, and I love your videos. I listen to them with my roommate, and it's been great fun. I know you guys think guardian angel stories are sweet, so I thought I would share mine. In 2022, my grandmommy died. She was my best friend. I loved her so much. The day after my family went to say goodbye, my dad called and said she had passed. I was devastated. I literally only wanted to stay in my room 24/7. One day, after a particularly hard day at school, I went to bed immediately after I got home. Something kind of snapped in me, I guess, and I just couldn't stop crying. You know that point in your tears when you're just so exhausted from crying you need to fall asleep? That was me. I was still crying and just not doing well when I could feel, or maybe sense, a hand petting my head, just like my grandmommy did. I was overcome with calmness. I stopped crying and I fell asleep as she continued to pet my head. It has only ever happened one other time, but I strongly believe that she's my angel, always there with me when I'm struggling. I've never told anyone that story before, but I think it's a good one to share. Thank you for always bringing a smile to my face. Much love, Rachel.
100%. It was her.
Beautiful.
And that is so cute. I love it.
I'm sorry for your loss.
Yeah, me too. And we just recorded another wholesome episode, so I'm not okay today.
Very teary.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It's something with just like all the wholesome stories in the paranormal always have that sad element. There's always a death
there has to be
involved.
A loss. Yeah.
So it just is very...
It's conflicting.
It's bittersweet.
Yes.
Our next story comes from Samantha. Hi again, Ghosties. I was just watching one of your older episodes about guardian angels and the third man factor. This reminded me of an experience I've had. About 10 years ago, I was in a terrible car accident. During my previous marriage, I had left my house more than mad, for reasons I won't discuss. I lived on a very curvy county road and was going way faster than I should have been in the heat of my anger. About 2 miles from my house, I came around a curve and found myself face to face with a huge box truck. He was halfway in my lane on this 2-lane road, but as I said, I was going way too fast. To avoid hitting him head on, I swerved off the right shoulder. When it came time to get back on the road, I overcorrected the car and found myself going sideways. I shot across the other lane and into the yard of a house on the opposite side of the road. I tried again to straighten the vehicle, hitting the brakes at the same time. This did not end in my favor, as I hit the sidewalk that led to the front door of the house and found myself flipping in the air from bumper to bumper. The vehicle then began rolling over sideways for what seemed like forever. Finally, my car stops rolling and flipping, landing straight on all 4 tires. By the grace of God, I simply opened the door and stepped out. Looking around, I noticed I had destroyed a section of the homeowner's chain link fence, put skid marks all through her yard, and not to mention all the parts from my vehicle laying everywhere. But the worst part for me at the time, I then noticed a young boy hiding against the right side of the house. This made me panic as the realization sat in when I saw him. that I had noticed him playing in the front yard as I came around the curve, right before the wreck took place. He was playing in the path of my tumbling vehicle seconds before I came through. The truck that had run me out of the road never stopped. I'm not sure if he had just didn't look back in his mirror after passing me or what, but it was just me alone with this little boy. I asked him, "Are you okay?" He just nodded, his eyes still wide. "Is there anyone home?" I asked. He seemed stunned and never answered. "Please go get someone," I yelled, not meaning to be rude, just desperately. By this time, another vehicle had come up the road from the same direction of the box truck. The driver stopped and ran up to me, asking if I was okay, had I called 911, etc. They found my phone in the car, and I guided them through my passcode. They called my mother for me, then 911. The driver told me to sit down in the grass and looked me over. He said, "Do you feel any pain?" "Not really," I replied. "Not even in your hand?" he said. I looked down, and only then did I realize the wedges of glass from my windshield sticking out of the top of my right hand, between my thumb and pointer finger. Though it probably wasn't the best idea at the time, I panicked and jerked it out. He wrapped this up with an old t-shirt and told me to keep pressure on it until the ambulance got there. I looked around and the little boy was gone. I assumed he had run inside to tell the homeowner what had happened. I prepared myself for the worst, thinking that his parents or grandparents were about to come outside and cuss me out for putting his life in so much danger, tearing up their yard, their fence, anything, but nobody ever came out. The ambulance took me to the hospital, though I don't remember anything about the ride there. I was met by my family, and the nurses began their procedures. Neck brace, stitches, medicine, the whole nine. I never did have any serious pain or problems, thank God. Stitches were removed weeks later, and even today, I am only left with a scar on the spot where my windshield pierced my right hand. I called my insurance company to file a claim not only for my vehicle, but the homeowner's fence and yard as well, as the ambulance had taken me from the scene before I got the chance to speak with any residents. I was told my ex-husband had let the insurance lapse and never renewed the policy. Luckily, I didn't owe very much on the now totaled vehicle and was able to find another car cheap enough to tack the remaining balance of my old car onto the new car loan. But the homeowner's fence and yard had still not been fixed, and I felt terrible about this. I cashed the very next paycheck I received after returning to work and went to the house where I wrecked. My plan was to pay the homeowner as much as I needed to each week until the fence could be repaired. I knocked on the door. An elderly little lady barely cracks the door open. "Can I help you?" she asks through the screen door. I explained to her who I was and that I was the one responsible for destroying her fence. She invites me to come in and sit down on the couch with her. I explained my plans to pay her each week until the cost of the repairs has been taken care of. But in the back of my mind, I'm dying to ask about the little boy. After waging war with myself about whether to bring him up in conversation or not, I blurted out, "Is your grandson okay?" She looks at me confused. "The little boy that was here that day. He was playing in the yard right before I came through it, and it's been bothering me because that could have happened to him if it were seconds earlier," I explained. The lady answers, and I can tell I've made her uneasy. "Dear, I'm not sure what you're talking about. I don't have a grandson. I've never had a little boy here, and I wasn't even home when you wrecked." At the time, I thought, great, now she thinks I do drugs or was drinking the day I wrecked. But I swear to you all, I hadn't had a drink, and I've never done drugs a day in my life. After watching the episode on guardian angels, I now feel like that has to be who the little boy was. And to make matters more interesting, my mother had a miscarriage before she found out she was pregnant with me years ago. The baby would have been a little boy named Samuel. Now, I'm not sure how God decides who helps watch over us from day to day, but I like to believe that it was Samuel in the yard when I came closer than I've ever been to death, but instead was able to simply open the door and step out of the vehicle. They also attached some pictures. They said viewer discretion is advised, as one picture is of my hand at the hospital right after the wreck. It's not terrible, but a few cuts and scratches. Feel free to share if you'd like. Love listening to you all, and I can't wait for the next video. Thanks for reading, Samantha.
Oh my gosh. First of all, I am
Crazy
always
story.
so amazed when someone just like walks away from a wreck. It's like,
Yeah.
how?
Oh, well, look at these pictures too when you say that.
Oh my gosh.
Windshield completely shattered.
That's horrible.
There's the car just completely tore up.
If I saw that, I would think like, wow, someone is severely injured, if not dead. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're okay.
Me too.
My goodness.
And I do like the thought that the little boy was your little brother being your guardian angel.
Oh, yeah. That's really sweet.
Yeah.
That is really, really sweet.
So I'm glad you're okay, Samantha, and thank you for sharing. Our next story is from Ciara. Hey guys, I just recently discovered your podcast and I have loved it. Keep up the great work and I hope you have a wonderful 2025. It's been all right. My name is Ciara and this story happened back when I was a kid and lived with my parents. For context, my family is Sicilian and very close-knit. My grandfather and grandmother immigrated to the United States decades ago and were always really dedicated to keeping my dad and uncle safe and protecting the family since they were in a new country and wanted nothing more than to see the two of them thrive and have families of their own. They worked night and day at multiple jobs to send my dad and uncle to prestigious colleges, and my dad still talks about my grandparents raising them all the time and is grateful every day for the opportunities they gave him. He was especially close with my grandfather, who was always a light to have around. He was a happy, joking man who spoke with a thick accent and loved making people laugh and had this very distinctive booming laugh that my dad and grandmother said was contagious. The laugh in particular is important to the story. My grandfather also had these freckles on his face, so dark that it's almost up to personal preference whether you consider them freckles or moles. But there were 2 under his left eye and 1 on either side of his mouth. Unfortunately, my grandfather passed away when my dad was a young man and I never met him. But I've grown up with stories about this great man, and I still feel close to him in many ways. This is where the story starts teetering into the supernatural. The first weird thing is that when I was born with the same exact freckles on my face that my grandfather has. Not just 4 freckles on my face in approximately the same location. I mean exactly the same freckles. The 2 under my left eye and 1 on either side of my mouth. We've looked at pictures of my grandfather and they really are identical. When my dad first saw me in the hospital, he apparently began to cry.
Aww.
The family took this as a sign that my grandfather was watching out for me from beyond.
That is so cute. I love that.
The second thing was something we realized when I was old enough not to have a little kid voice anymore, and I was hanging out with my grandmother. She said something sarcastic, although I don't remember what it was, and I laughed really hard. And suddenly she got this shocked look on her face and began to get teary. Worried, I asked her what was wrong, and she said that I had the same laugh as her love, which was what she called my grandfather. She said I had exactly the same laugh that he did, and even though I didn't and still don't know exactly how that can be true, it makes me feel close to him. The strangest thing that ever happened to me in regards to this, though, was when I was around 8 years old. It was summer, and my family lived in Georgia at the time, so after dinner, I would always go out into the backyard, which was just a patch of woods, and catch fireflies while my parents cleaned up. I was always back in the house before it got really dark, but it was my time to play and their time to get the kitchen squared away. On this particular night, after I put my plate on the counter, I made my way downstairs and put on my shoes, which we kept by the back door. It was a little darker than usual, but I could already see the fireflies and wanted to go out and catch them, so I could see them glow and let them go again before I had to go to bed. As I opened and closed the back door and started walking towards the woods, I suddenly heard a voice behind me say, "Stop," very firmly. It had an accent I recognized from my grandmother, and somehow I wasn't scared. I turned around, but there was no one there, and after a moment I had this overwhelming urge to go inside and play there. The woods and fireflies didn't seem fun anymore. I can't exactly describe it. It was like the idea of going back inside just got dropped into my head. Anyway, later that night I was sleeping when I heard shouting from my backyard. I woke up to see my bedroom window illuminated, and scared I got out of bed and crept over to the window and peeked out of the curtains. My backyard was full of policemen with those huge flashlights, and I saw my dad walk out the back door looking scared to see what was going on. It was then that the policeman led 2 men that I had never seen before out of the woods. The same woods I played in every summer night after dinner. The same woods that I had almost gone into earlier that night. They led the men away, and at breakfast the next day I found out that they had attacked a man in our neighborhood during an attempted robbery, and while running from the police, had hidden in our backyard because of the dense cover. Police had been patrolling the neighborhood all day, so they couldn't leave without being spotted. They had only been there for a few hours, but they were definitely there when I walked outside that night. After that, my mom never let me play in those woods again, and we moved not long after. I still don't know how to explain the voice I heard that night, or the marks on my face, or my laugh, but I can't help but think that it's my grandfather watching out for me somehow. I wish I could have met him, but even still, something tells me that he's with me. He's still keeping our family safe like he did when he first came to this country all those years ago. Thank you so much for reading. Love, Ciara.
Absolutely. Whoa.
Insane story.
Whoa. That is so crazy. I was thinking, I would have never assumed it was men hiding out there. I was thinking like, oh wow, maybe there's like a like a bear or some type of like mountain lion or something.
Yeah.
2 criminals? That's crazy.
Hiding in the exact same woods they were about to go to.
Wow. I love that. And absolutely, I think it is your grandpa. I think he is with you forever.
Those are literally some of my favorite stories.
That's crazy.
Like, I can't get enough. I could read the same story with just very, like, slight varying details over and over
Where
again.
someone or something tells them, like, don't do that.
Like, stop.
And it saves them.
Or, like, in cars, like, slow down.
Yes.
Or, yeah, things like that.
Crazy.
Insane. Our next story is from Ashley. Hey, Ghosties. My name is Ashley, and I live in a small town in New Mexico called Deming. My story takes place in 2016 on a road between Deming and a small rural area called Mimbres. So my stepdad grew up and has lived in Mimbres his entire life and told me stories about the road. Note, the road is nothing but twists and turns. He would tell me when he drove late at night and he would see headlights in the distance that would never pass him or get close to him. He said people would crash on the road due to the way the roads are made. Unfortunately, he said some sadly passed away. My 1-year-old nephew and I were driving that road one weekend to hang out with our family. I left right after work and before the rest of my family to get there early, and all of a sudden, I started getting really sleepy. Usually, I'll pull over or call someone to keep me up, and in this case, I dozed off, and I didn't even realize that I dozed off while driving. Note, I was wide awake and wasn't tired at all before this. It wasn't more than a second before I felt a slap on my face and woke up. Less than 30 seconds later, a car passed me and my nephew. My face went numb until I got to my stepdad's house. I will never forget that feeling on my face to this day, and I am now 28 years old. I love the pod. Keep doing what you're doing. I get so happy to see you guys post every Monday and Thursday. Wish you guys the best and can't wait to hear what other stories you guys have. With love, Ashley.
Oh my God. What were we just talking about?
I know. I completely forgot this was the next one.
Amazing. Because how do you explain feeling a slap?
I know.
Your nephew didn't get up and slap you.
Physical feeling. Yeah.
And even if he did, like, it's not going to hurt like a big person slap. I mean, depending on how big your nephew is. But you know what I mean?
No, that's crazy. Our next story is from Emily. Hey, Ghosties. Emily again. The Emily that had the story about the cousin's haunted house with bodies on the wall. I remember that one. Thank you. So I'm currently...
What a wild first
description.
Sentence. Hello, Emily.
So I'm currently watching the Glitch in the Matrix episode, and it made me remember something my mom told me that makes me question Matrix or guardian angel. She said one time when I was a few months old, my dad was at work, so she decided to take me out for a shopping day just to have some girl time. Something important is the layout of the intersection where this takes place. It's a 4-way intersection on a highway, and the road we were pulling out on leads to a parking lot with a shopping center. And you can go through the intersection to get to a road that merges into a back road. The cross traffic was the highway. She said that she was stopped at the red light when she got a phone call and could hear her phone ringing from her purse in the passenger seat. She said she never answered the phone when she was driving, especially when I was in the car, but for some reason she had a feeling to answer it. She said the phone rang for longer than normal, but she couldn't find it, so she had given up. As she looked up at the light, it was green, but there was a car going at least 60 miles per hour through the intersection and would have hit on my side of the car, killing me because it would have gone through at the exact same time we were. She said she pulled through the intersection after, and when she got home, she checked her phone. This was the time of flip phones and where missed calls popped up on the screen. She said she knows her phone was ringing, but when she checked, there were no text messages and no missed calls. She even opened her phone and checked the call log, and there was nothing. Kind of a short story, but this is the only Glitch in the Matrix story I have. Thanks for reading.
Amazing. I hate that I don't have another reaction. I'm just speechless. I never know what to say on things like this other than like,
wow.
What? Like,
it's shocking to hear for that long. The phone even rang for longer than it usually does. For that
and
long.
It's like an old phone too.
Something is like, hey, don't go through that green light.
It's getting your
when
attention.
It turns green. Yeah.
Crazy. I wouldn't call it Glitch in the Matrix. I call it something or someone was looking out for you.
Guardian angel, perhaps.
Something.
I love that. Okay, our next story is from Gracie. Hello, Ghosties. I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. I wanted to start off by saying that when I found y'all's podcast, I was in a dark place mentally and emotionally, and the way you two interact reminds me of how my sister and best friend, Mackenzie, and I were when we were together, and it really helps me better handle her passing. She was only 24 and I was 20. I am so sorry for your loss. Anyways, on to the experience. In January of 2023, I was in a car accident where I was hit from behind by a truck going 40 miles over the speed limit. I was waiting to turn. and pushed into an oncoming SUV. I don't remember much of what happened due to being thrown into the back seat and losing consciousness. I do, however, remember opening my eyes and looking around when I saw my sister standing there, offering her hand out to help me up. I looked at her, confused, and asked her what was going on, and that's when she told me that I was in a really bad car accident. As soon as I stood up, the first thing I did was hug her so tightly, and it felt so real, and I didn't ever want to let go. She squeezed me tighter and told me that everything was going to be okay and that I needed to be strong like she taught me. She told me to let our parents know that she was okay and surrounded by everyone that has ever loved her. It felt like only a few minutes, but was actually hours, and at this point, I was in the hospital. I told her I wanted to stay, and she said I couldn't because I still had a life to live and that it wouldn't be my last time seeing her. She was so beautiful, like she always was, and when I started to wake up, I didn't want to go, and she kept saying I had to, and she couldn't go back on her word to him. I later found out that my dad prayed to my sister to let me be okay.
Oh my God. Whoa, Macy, why would you do this?
With one last giant hug and a smile, she started to fade as I was waking up, and then she was gone again. I was told from police officers and EMTs and doctors that I shouldn't have walked away from that wreck, but in fact, I walked away with only a concussion, but my car was totaled. I'm sorry if it's a sad story, but I wanted to share because she was my big sister and I looked out for me. Plus, it was perfect getting to hear her say, I love you one last time. Feel free to share this on the podcast because if there was one thing Mackenzie loved, it was getting attention. LOL.
Oh my God.
Anyways, I can't wait to see everything that y'all accomplish, and thank you for being a platform where us listeners to interact and form new bonds. Ooh.
Shut up, Mackenzie. Oh my God.
And then they sent the pictures of their car accident as well.
Oh.
Completely tore up.
Oh,
Look
it's
at
a
that.
Beetle. That's my dream car. Oh my God. That's so terrible, but that is so beautiful. Woo. I'm
Gracie,
tired of crying right
you
now.
freaking got me, girl.
Oh my
a
God.
lot.
And Mackenzie, what a diva. Love. That is so cute.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
What a good big sister.
Woo. Whoa. I'm not doing good.
No, I'm also unwell. I've held it together. I haven't cried once.
I've cried like 5 times today.
Yeah, well, phew. That one was good. That one got me. And I've read that one before. Like I said, I've read these.
These are just really good.
Our next story comes from Lauren. Hi, Ghosties. My name is Lauren. I'm 32. Might be 33 when you get to my email since my birthday month is in October. So
happy late birthday.
Might be 34 at this point.
Oh my God.
It's currently 3:52 a.m. on June 5th when I'm writing to you both. I just finished watching your Evil Entities listener episode, and during the episode, something kept telling me to write my first and secondhand experiences with something heavenly. A little long, but the secondhand experience was to do with me being born, told to me by my mom. Hospital's helper angel. My mom says that while she was in labor, she had a birth assisted by an angel. This happens during the time of her feeling me coming out. I was a complicated birth because I was coming out feet first instead of head first. This is what she recalls. She was on the verge of just giving up. She just couldn't do it anymore. It was too hard, very stressful, and she was in so much pain. She remembers that her contractions were getting closer and there was no one in the room with her when she felt me coming out. She said that the pain was so unbearable that she knew she had to push, which she was pushing, but the pain got to a level that she just wanted to give up. She was also wondering why no one was coming because she knew I was coming out. Then the door opens. A handsome young black man in a doctor's coat walks in the room and starts to talk to her, saying he was just doing his rounds. She remembers him asking her how she was feeling. Cue, woman going into labor, responds. He didn't get taken aback. He just took her hand and told her not to give up on me and keep pushing. She told him that it was too much and she didn't know if she could continue. He told her to squeeze his hand and he would take some of her pain. But she needed to not give up on me and just keep pushing. So she did. Right when she decided to keep going, a flurry of activity started to happen. The nurses realized that I was coming out but the wrong way and got the OBGYN in place right away. She continued to hold and periodically squeeze the doctor's hand while everything was going on. She remembers the doctor telling her that it will be complicated, me coming out the wrong way, but she would need to keep trying to push, and he was going to be there to get her through it. I arrive in the world, healthy and screaming, of course. The doctor lets go of her hand and tells her she did an amazing job. And then she gets overtaken by the nurses checking on her, making sure I am actually okay, and getting the placenta out that she doesn't see him leave her side. Once everything is settled, a few hours later, she asks one of the nurses if she could speak with the black doctor that was in the room with them earlier. The nurse asked her to describe the doctor, and then told her that the hospital first didn't have a black male doctor that was an OBGYN, nor had a young black male as a doctor at their hospital. The 2 black doctors they had were both women, hospital in Tulsa. When my Big Mama visited us and Mom tells her what happened, Big Mama says it was an angel that helped her in both our times of need. I still get teary-eyed whenever I think about this encounter.
That
How
is
insane.
incredible. What? Wow,
That just gave me like full body chills. Again, I've read the story before,
that's
but
so beautiful. What a fantastic birth story you have.
Right?
Who is this man? Also, is he still with you now? Is he your guardian
like a
angel, or is
guardian?
he your mom's guardian angel?
Mm-mm.
I would like to know. This is amazing.
But that's like a lot of the stories that we read that were like they're in danger. They
Yeah.
feel like this is it, and then
Mhm.
there's someone there like, here, let me help you through this, and
I
then
love
just
it.
gone, disappeared. No one sees
I
them.
love it so much.
The light and the voice. Now my very own encounter. Context, I am in 3rd grade, so however old that is, lol. We live in a nice neighborhood in DeSoto, Texas, with the garages in the back of every house that is made into an almost alleyway. I hope that made sense. It's important to the story. At the time, my mom and I are living with her boyfriend and his 2 kids. They're 2 and 3 years younger than me. We are being too rowdy in the house, so the rents tell us to go play outside. We decided to ride our bikes up and down the alleyway. I'm the last one out of the garage door, and on that same wall is a 3-tier shelf that holds her boyfriend's tools. He worked for AT&T, and all of our kids' helmets. As I close the door, I hear a voice that isn't my mom nor her boyfriend tell me to wear a helmet. I stop, I look at my helmet, and you know your mind as a child. I think I don't need to wear it since I'm just playing in the alleyway, not far from the rents. I have to pass the helmets to get to the bike, and as I turn to get on it, out of the garage, I hear the voice in my ear say again, "Lauren, wear your helmet." I look back at it again, and one of the girls calls me out of the garage. So I decided not to get off the bike to go and get it. Not that long after, we are racing up and down the alleyway. As we go back and forth, one of the houses, and the only house that has a chain link fence instead of wood panels, has their dog in the backyard. They have a huge pit bull that runs along with us in the enclosed backyard. So we're going back and forth, and he is chasing us with his fenced area, barking at us. Over time, I've become the only person that is riding the bike. The other 2 girls are just running up and down the alleyway with me chasing them on my bike. You know when something doesn't feel right? You'll get this pit in your stomach. On our last run, I felt it. I decided once I go past him that this was the last turn. I'd just be going back inside now. We go past him the final time to our garage, and he becomes very aggressive. I remember passing him and laughing with the other girls, and then I hear a growl behind me. The dog jumped the fence and is staring us down. Both girls on foot book it, and I start paddling really fast, just wanting to make it to the garage. I'm 1 fence away when one of the girls' foot hits my front wheel. I lose control and fly off and over the bike. I remember skidding on the concrete of the alleyway. I was in so much pain and then became numb. I now know that I went into shock. I have just enough energy to turn to the side, and the last thing I see is the dog in my face, and I close my eyes. I wake up standing straight and not in any kind of pain. But there is nothing around me. Everything is dark and silent, but there's light in front of me. I know, but I truly saw and felt this. I just started walking to it. At the time, something told me not to look behind me, but to walk forward. As the light is getting closer, on my right side, someone starts walking with me. I can only see them somewhat out of the corner of my eye. They were silent for most of the journey to the light source, but started talking to either me or just out loud. As the light source gets bigger, they tell me to stop walking, but I continue to walk. They kept telling me to stop and go back the way I came. I continued to walk. Something just tells me to keep going to the light source. Then, all of a sudden, the light source moves further away from where I am, almost like I moved back to where I started my walk. I do still keep walking as the figure next to me keeps trying to tell me to stop walking to the light. Then I feel the figure right next to me in my ear say, "It's not your time." I blink, waking up in the hospital surrounded by some doctors and my parents. My face is on fire and it hurts so much. My body felt like it had gotten run over. Long story short, I believe I was on the cusp of being gone, and a heavenly figure stopped me from actually reaching the gates. I'm fine now. I had to wait a year and a half for my face to heal enough naturally, swelling, scabs, etc., before getting facial reconstruction. It sucked because I missed a lot of school, and I definitely was the disfigured kid. Grade school children can be very mean. There is 2 years in my life where there are no pictures of me because of how bad I looked. From the wait to get surgery in the aftermath of the surgery. A couple of skin grafts later, and all I have left is a discolored scar that only if I point it out will you ever notice it. I attached a photo of my mom and I on our annual mother-daughter trip to London. Thank you for reading, and you both can definitely use these stories. Sorry if it was long, but something told me I had to write about these events to you. You both are doing amazing. Keep it up and have a great day or night, Lauren.
Whoa. Okay.
Also, Lauren and her mother, beautiful ladies.
Aww. Oh, they're really cute.
They are so cute.
I don't know why it makes me really emotional to see the people that are writing in.
I know.
Y'all are really cute. Oh my god. Oh my god. What?
I wonder if that heavenly being was the same, like, young doctor man.
What if it was?
You know, like, maybe he's just always there.
Whoa. Yeah, because they said they didn't see the...
Because they said don't turn around. Or they felt that they weren't supposed to turn around.
I really do wonder if y'all just have that same guardian. That is so crazy.
That was there with Lauren even in that horrible time.
Wow.
Also,
I'm blown away.
Another reason to always listen to your gut.
Mm-hmm.
When you hear, wear your helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, grab this certain item. Maybe don't go out today. Like, listen. So thank you for sharing that. That was incredible. Our next story is from Allisa. Hello, Missy and Natalie. My name is Allisa, and I have a guardian angel story for you guys. So this is a little crazy to me, but my mom told me way back when she was pregnant with me, about 6 or 7 months, she was driving to the hospital for a visit with my grandma, uncle, and 2 older sisters. As my mom was driving, she had the right-of-way, and some teenager came out of nowhere and caused my mom to crash. She told me that their van flipped twice and landed upside down, and my mom told me she remembers a man in a tie-dyed shirt and jeans with long hair walked over to the van and told my mom to turn the van off. He helped her and my family out of the van and to the roadside. When my mom went to thank him, he was gone. Nowhere to be seen, but a couple came over to help and call 911. When my mom asked about the guy, the couple told my mom that no one was there and that she was by herself. The police told my mom that if she didn't turn the van off when she did, that the van probably would have exploded. She still believes that it was an angel to this day, and no one remembers him outside of my mom. Thank you for taking your time to read this, and this isn't the only experience that my family has had with the paranormal and what we believe to be guardian angels.
Okay, he helped everyone get out. First of all, that is so crazy. That is so crazy. Oh my gosh, who is this man?
A guardian angel, dude.
I would really like to know, like, if our guardian angels are always connected to us in some way, or like someone that we knew before or we were related to, or if it's just a random spirit angel thing and they're just like, I'm gonna protect
and they just
you.
appear to you in times of great need when they need to, in a way that's not going to threaten you or make you feel, stressed out.
The world is so weird, and
it's very weird.
All the different beliefs that people have and stuff like that, whatever you believe in, when you hear stuff like this, it's like there's so much more than just us little
than what
people,
we know.
These little Sims that we're playing right now.
Yeah.
It's so crazy to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Wow.
Okay, we have one more story. It's from Ciara, and it was specifically, it says, titled Angel Story for Your Grandma. So this is specifically for Mimi.
That's so cute.
Hi, ladies. I recently stumbled across your podcast, and I've been binging it ever since. You two remind me so much of my sister and I. You have the best mix of spooky and cozy that I've encountered in the vast universe that is the internet, and I love it. But I digress. I heard you mention on the pod that you wanted to do a Guardian Angel series for Mimi in December, and I decided to send in my experience to share with y'all. This is a story with a happy ending, but the getting there is a bit rough. I'll preemptively apologize to both of you, as I know you have a phobia of deep water called thalassophobia, by the way. One of my sons actually gave himself thalassophobia by playing a video game called Subnautica. But again, I digress.
That just made my chest tight.
I know. Just wait. The setting is 1989. The place is Will Rogers State Beach in sunny Southern California. My siblings and I spent summers with our dad in Los Angeles, and we spent nearly every day at the beach. I'm not kidding when I say that we knew the beach and the Pacific Ocean extremely well. One day that summer, my dad had time off of work, so he took my sister and I to the beach. I was 11 that summer, my younger sister was 9. The three of us went into the water to swim, body surf, and generally splash around and have fun. As we were playing, the waves started getting bigger and bigger, and the tide was stronger and stronger. Before we knew it, we were trapped in a rip current, sucking us out to sea. Now, the conventional wisdom when getting stuck in a riptide is to relax, don't fight it, and swim parallel to the beach until you are out of it. All three of us knew that. However, it's one thing to know something intellectually when you're safe on shore, and quite another to put something like that into practice, especially when you're a terrified parent with two terrified children. So there we were, three beachgoers getting pummeled by waves and unable to reach the safety of the shore. I distinctly remember that we were out so deep that when the waves dragged me under, I could feel my dad underneath me, struggling to swim to the surface. It was a horrible feeling of complete and total helplessness. Wave after wave broke over us, sending us tumbling out of control through the water, unable to get a deep enough breath before the next wave plunged us under again. Every time there was a break in the waves, the current would pull us further out to sea. Where was the lifeguard, you say? Well, during midweek at that particular beach, there was no lifeguard on duty. In fact, there was no one else on the beach during our struggle, not a single soul who could see that we were in desperate trouble. My dad and I were struggling terribly, but we were bigger and, in my case, slightly stronger than my 9-year-old sister. She was in rough shape, and I really thought at one point that we would all die out there. Y'all are sisters, so you know the paralyzing and totally earth-shattering thought of losing your sister. I remember trying to help her, but I could barely keep my head out of the water long enough to breathe, let alone help anyone else. And suddenly, someone else was in the water next to my sister. A man who looked like he was in his 30s with blonde hair. He yelled to my dad that he would help her to shore, and we watched as he swam with her as if it was nothing. No struggle, no being tossed about by waves, no difficulty in towing a half-drowned girl out of the water. It was as if he grabbed her arm and simply swam to the sand as if he was crossing a swimming pool. I remember the intense relief at seeing her step out of the water and flop down on the towel. Now we'll cut to my sister's perspective. After her rescuer brought her to the beach, she basically collapsed from exhaustion. She asked the man if he would go help her dad and sister, me, since we were still quite obviously struggling in the ocean. She said he looked at us, then looked back at her and said, "They'll be okay without me." Instead of arguing or insisting that he continue to help, she merely nodded and dropped her head down. When she looked up a few seconds later to thank him, he was gone. She did not fall asleep. She did not rest her head for longer than a few seconds. That man had literally disappeared from a long stretch of empty beach with no grass or sand dunes, or even a stray piece of driftwood to hide behind. He was simply gone. A few minutes later, my dad and I made it out of the ocean and fell, exhausted, on our towels. We were so tired from our struggle that we weren't able to leave the beach for a long time while our bodies recuperated. Since 1989, I've never waded into the ocean past my thighs. When I take my own children to visit the beach, I insist they wear life jackets, and even then, I don't allow them to go past their knees. The ocean is more powerful than anyone who hasn't almost died in it can understand. It is a thing to be respected and feared. To this day, my sister believes that the man who rescued her was her guardian angel. She has no other explanation for the manner in which he appeared out of nowhere on an empty beach, rescued her, and then vanished. Though I don't have many stories that I would consider paranormal, I do have a few about supernatural intuition and or preternatural knowing of wild things that have happened in my life. I'll share those some other time if it sounds like y'all are interested in those types of stories. For now, please know that I appreciate you both, and I'm so happy that Mimi gets to hear a bunch of guardian angel stories. Treasure your grandparents while you have them, ladies. Trust me on that one.
Oh, God.
All the best, Sarah.
Oh, my God. Wait up. Punch us at the end with that one, but oh, my God, that was amazing. How do you explain that? Other than
I don't know.
That was her guardian angel.
Yeah.
Also, the ocean, literally.
My heart was racing the entire time.
I could not breathe while you were telling that.
Mm-hmm.
Horrifying. Horrifying.
That's a beautiful story, though. He's
Yes.
like, no, they're going to be okay without me.
He knew. He was like, they're fine. Wow.
Also, that wasn't the last story. There was one more. I made a mistake. But anyway.
Wow. I'm just, wow.
Speechless?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, yes, my chest is tight right now because I am so deathly afraid of the ocean.
I am too. Like I have a cold sweat and I'm tingly.
Yeah.
That was scary.
What's wrong with us, dude?
I don't know. Okay, so one more story. It's anonymous, and it was also written in specifically for Mimi.
Oh,
so.
That's so sweet, you guys. Oh my gosh.
I know. Hi, ladies. Last week you mentioned that your grandma, I think you called her Mimi, but I can't exactly recall, wanted to hear some positive stories on your channel. So I've got a great one for her.
Yeah, girl, we're from the South. We have memes. I love that.
Before I dive in, I just want to say I've been a listener for over a year now, and I absolutely love the pod. It's obvious you two put so much work into it, and I'm proud to say I haven't missed an episode. Thank you. So kind. Now on to the story. It technically belongs to my boyfriend, but he gave me permission to share it, and I'll tell it in the first person to keep things straightforward. This happened about 2 or 3 years ago when I was 20 and a college student in suburban Connecticut. Getting around required a car, as my campus was small and didn't have all the essentials, and the nearest shopping center was a 20 to 30 minute drive away. Since I was one of the few in my group who had a car, we had designated days to run errands together. We'd all pile in a car or two after class and carpool to the shopping center for groceries and whatnot. These trips were usually late, around 8 or 9 p.m. One night in September, I drove my car with a few friends, and second friend drove his car with the rest of the group. The shopping center wasn't in the nicest area, but we were a decent-sized group. 4 girls and 3 guys, including myself. We got our groceries and headed back to the 2 cars, but that's when we realized my friend's car wouldn't start up. It was around 9:30 p.m., so it was pitch black outside, aside from the dim parking lot lamps and shopping center lights in the distance. Given that the area we were in was pretty sketchy, the girls were ready to book it home, so myself and the other 2 guys immediately started trying to jump the car. As we were fiddling with the cables in the dark and failing to get the car started, a tall, older man approached us. "Do you need help?" he asked. Instinctively, we all insisted, "No." That's a perfectly normal response for a group of college kids stuck in a sketchy parking lot late at night. The man asked if we were sure. We said yes, and with that, he left. We struggled for another 20 or so minutes without any success. Then we heard a car pull up beside us. It was the same man from before, and he stepped out carrying what looked like a toolkit. Without a word, he got straight to work and fixed the car in a matter of minutes. Amazingly, he had all the correct supplies, even though we had never told him what the car's problem was. He restarted the car, wished us a good night, and started to leave. We tried to offer him money as a thank you, but he refused. The strangest part, though, was his refusal to even share his name. He insisted it was no trouble at all and didn't require any thanks or recognition, and with that, he drove off. My friends and I were able to get home safely. It was truly such a strange encounter, equally unsettling and uplifting. Was this man a kind of stranger, a guardian angel? The fact that he seemingly drove home to get his toolkit and came back to find us and fix the car was remarkable enough. But it was his refusal to even share his name that made the entire experience so memorable. Had that man not come back, who knows what would have happened. That's my story, and here's my commentary and final thoughts. My boyfriend is a very religious Roman Catholic, and all these years later, he wholeheartedly believes that this man was a guardian angel. I'm agnostic and don't usually believe in that sort of stuff easily, but I find myself thinking of this story very often. Even I'm perplexed and can't help but wonder if this man was, in fact, an angel sent to protect and help them. Hope you enjoyed the story. I emailed a couple of stories within the past year, but this is the one I most hope to hear on the pod. Keep up the amazing work.
Love it. Love it. Wow.
What a beautiful story of kindness, too. Just, even if it wasn't a guardian angel, it still feels like divine intervention almost.
Yes, that's exactly. And I think that's what I was getting at earlier with my,
okay.
Do you think people, because just, wow. I love when things work out. I'm feeling so hopeful right now.
I know.
My gosh, I want to get out there and go help somebody right now.
You know what? That's what we should all take away from this story, is to just be kind, be helpful where we can, within reason. I mean, don't hurt yourself or,
that's something I
put yourself out there too much. But yeah, be kind, be generous, be helpful.
Wow.
Love your neighbor.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I think that's what our Mimi would say too.
Oh yeah, for sure. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mimi. And thank you to everyone who sent in their stories and, thinks of Mimi and us when they have these experiences.
That's really sweet. She's going to love that.
She really is. She's going to be so giddy.
I'm so excited.
I know, me too. So like this video if you liked it, share it with your friends if you feel compelled to do so, and subscribe for more. If you're listening on podcast, please leave us 5 stars. And if you have a story, guardian angel or otherwise, you can email us. It's ghosteaspod@gmail.com. We would really seriously love to hear your stories.
We would.
You can follow us on Instagram @ghosteaspod, and you can check out our Patreon, patreon.com/ghosties. Other than that, we will see you on Monday.
Goodbye.